Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside my good friend and co-host, Tony Cepeda. Tony, question for you. What do you call someone who walks into a bar with 6 NFL draft picks and walks out with 11?
I would call him an absolute genius, and I'm already excited. We'll get into it a little more, but that was some masterful work by Ryan Poles.
So if you guys didn't know, Ryan Poles walked into the 2022 NFL draft with 6 picks, ended up trading back multiple times and getting 11 picks total and using every single one of them on key areas of need for the Chicago Bears. Full disclaimer, I have an argument why Ryan Poles did not go wide receiver heavy. I'll get into that when we get to the 3rd round pick, which was the only wide receiver drafted by the Chicago Bears. But Tony, run through the list of everyone that was drafted and their positions.
That was a beautiful tease, by the way. That's what they call it a tease in the business, folks. Stick around. I've read it already.
I got you.
It's good reasoning. It is good reasoning. You're going to want to hear it. So the Chicago Bears took 11 new future stars. They're all going to hit. That's how the draft works. Everyone knows that. In the 2022 NFL draft, they selected corner Kyler Gordan, safety Jaquan Brisker, wide receiver / return man. This one's I'm going to start with Velus. Oh, that's easy. Okay. Velus Jones Jr., offensive tackle Braxton Jones, edge rusher Dominique Robinson, offensive lineman Zachary Thomas, not to be confused with the Packers draft pick, Zach Tom, terrible name. We'll get into that. Running back Trestan Ebner, offensive lineman Doug Kramer, offensive lineman Jatiri Carter. I believe I nailed that. Safety Elijah Hicks and punter Trenton Gill. So Poles and company, they did their homework. They knew what they needed. It was much more than just, wide receiver and offensive lineman. It's basically just let's rebuild the entire team, obviously outside of, David Montgomery and Justin Fields. So they saw who they wanted. They got them. In my opinion, I think they got a lot of people. And I think they did a really good job overall. There's definitely going to be some pushback on specific picks, specific guys. But as a whole, I think they addressed their 3 big areas of need. And they got guys who can play multiple positions. So, Nick, why don't you kick it off for us here?
Kind of going into that before we go into the first guy selected, which I was a big fan of, by the way. I think that Ryan Poles literally said, and the first guy picked was, cornerback Kyler Gordan out of Washington. And the second pick in the draft, which Tony's going to go over, was Jaquan Brisker. Both of them are NFL start-ready players, and they both fill in the areas of need a lot, but beside Eddie Jackson, beside Jalen Johnson. I mean, Ryan Poles is like, hey, I know everyone wants linemen, everyone wants wide receivers. Okay, we have linemen. Okay, he got rid of the guys he didn't want. We have wide receivers. He has guys that he did clearly like, and I'll get into the argument overall in the 3rd pick. But Ryan Poles literally checked off two areas: depth at the lineman position and DBs out of the gate. He did that in one draft. I think that's a big deal. And overall, good NFL ready players. Tony, any more comments?
Yeah, one more quick thing. I heard actually an awesome thing that made me excited for not just this draft, but the future is, in the past, Ryan Pace is like, oh, okay, Mitch is driving a Toyota Camry. Perfect. Draft him. No. What Ryan Poles did is, he took all of his scouts and he said, write down your top 3 guys that you are most convinced that if I took them and I said, hey, you are the reason I took that draft pick, you'll defend it till the day you die. You think it'll work out. And basically they took the top 3, put them on the board. And every time they ended up taking them, they kind of, the scout gave them their notes, and that's what they presented to the media. I thought that was a great way to use the talent around you, not just obviously the NFL players, but the people in the front office, all that. I thought that was really cool. So I'm excited. I think they did a good job.
I like that Ryan Poles also, he was very hush-hush about things, but he worked with Justin Fields on the one receiver that they took. And Fields himself said, I want that guy. That is who I want on this team because I can see it working out. A guy who just played in college, clearly knows college talent. So let's go into the first round pick, or the first pick of the draft by the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears in the second round at 39 selected Kyler Gordan, cornerback out of Washington at 5'11", 194 pounds. He does not look 194 pounds, by the way. This guy looks like he's 250 pounds of just raw muscle. I mean, he's a scary, and he's got a very welcoming voice, kind of like Walter Payton, very big guy, but sounds welcoming personality. He's a lockdown corner. Over the last 2 years, he has not given up a touchdown, no touchdowns, at all, running, passing, anything that has gone his way for the Washington beat while he played on Washington. He has worked with top NFL talent as well. So obviously being in the state of Washington, that's where the Seattle Seahawks play. Seattle is located in Washington. If you need a little geography lesson there, he's worked with Bobby Wagner. He's worked with Richard Sherman. He's worked with top NFL talent, Super Bowl defensive players that know what it takes to win. And he's the one that reached out to them. By the way, he reached out to them in order to get this thing going. I really like that he's taking that leadership to become better. And he's athletically a freak. I mean, there's literally all muscle on this guy. He's built like a tank. He's very strong. He ran a 4.5240, which it's like, oh, you're so close to that 4.4 status. But you got to remember, he already has a head start on anyone around him. So he gets a better read on things. He's able to kind of work with those. And you have your next pick as well that can help defend that with his speed. So overall, he's a leader. He was a leader for the Washington secondary, wanted to become better every day. We're very excited for him to play in Chicago. I mean, the one thing that hurts him, and ironically with the Chicago Bears last year, he's prone to miss tackles because he is so aggressive at going after the ball that if a guy catches it, he's already, either down or so he kind of takes too many risks according to scouts, but that's okay. I would rather have risk instead of just absolutely getting burned and guys looking at each other like the Spider-Man meme, like everyone pointing like, oh, that was you, that was you, that was you. So very excited with this guy. Good pairing with Jalen Johnson. Good for the secondary. Ryan Poles, I thought, did a great job. Tony, next guy, also DB. And honestly, a lot of people are saying could be the steal of the draft.
Yeah, so this actually applies what you said about the last guy taking some risks, but you like that. That applies here too. I agree because it's easier to dial it back, I think, than it is to teach that instincts that, just basically go get him attitude. So Jaquan Brisker, position safety, college, he went to Penn State, 6'1", 200. So here's the pros. A lot of pros on this guy. So probably our favorite pick of the draft, at least of that day of the draft. I actually like a couple of guys that took later too. Honestly, a steal. He was graded as a first-round pick. Very weird draft, as we said. It played out just like we said, where no one knew what was going to happen. So the last time we took a safety from Penn State, he paired very well with Eddie Jackson. I don't know if you've ever heard of Adrian Amos, still on the Packers now, and he hits hard. This guy also hits hard. Big dude. He shows that he has the ability to be that big hitting safety in the NFL, which something we considered in Tyrann Mathieu before drafting Brisker. So he had 34 games at Penn State, started 21 of them. He has 153 total tackles, 86 of them were solo. It's about 9.5 tackles for loss, 5 interceptions, 14 passes defensed, 1 forced fumble. Just a guy that gets his nose in there, just in the mix. And I like that, especially with Eddie Jackson. Doesn't necessarily do that unless, he can be a ball hawk, but that's about it. He's fast. He can get after the ball. 4.45 40 time, which is a fantastic. But his cons, sometimes he gets distracted. He doesn't focus on where the ball is really going. He gets a little too caught up in one target. Again, just like the last guy, he'll go 110%. He'll go. Just it's got to work on the right direction.
I again, that's something that you can work on, especially in the NFL, and it depends on schemes. Like in college, like that, they sometimes tell you, "Hey, just focus on this right now. Like, do not think in this direction." That's kind of like a flaw in the college system, I believe, in regards to college football. But it is what it is. Now, 3rd round, 71st pick by the Chicago Bears. They took a wide receiver finally. Why I am not mad that Ryan Poles only took 1 wide receiver is because Luke Getsy is your offensive coordinator. Luke Getsy comes from the Green Bay Packers. Luke Getsy was a wide receiver coach. Luke Getsy helped make Aaron Rodgers an even better player than he was entering the Luke Getsy era. Now, put all that together. You have your wide receivers. Did you know who Jordy Nelson was? Randall Cobb, Adam Lazard? Obviously Devontae Adams is a little different because he was a big name coming out of college. But anyone that Rodgers threw to was a good receiver. Anyone on that offense was instantly better with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. I'm not saying Justin Fields is at the same elite level as Aaron Rodgers, but with Luke Getsy, he very well could become that elite quarterback, playing wise. Aaron Rodgers has his own attitude issues. He has his own things that, some people might not like about him, but you cannot deny that he's a good ball player. I think that going out and just getting 1 receiver and trusting all the free agents that the Bears had, because they have 7 wide receivers now, 8 on the roster. You don't need that many. So just just a little craziness. Just want to put that out there. But we got 10 minutes left in this recording, so we're going to start going through and everyone a little bit faster. Velus Jones Jr. was drafted at 71st from the University of Tennessee, wide receiver, 6'2", 204. You want fast? This guy is fast, 4.3 run 40 time. Everything that Justin Fields wanted. I mean, like Justin Fields wanted that receiver that he could chuck the ball up to and beat out defenders. Also, he said, sitting down with Ryan Poles, hey, this is one of the guys that I want. Tony was talking about the list. Justin Fields wrote this guy down. So that shows that Ryan Poles is trusting his quarterback and who he thinks is going to work out well. Luke Getsy obviously also had to collaborate with Justin Fields and kind of write it off here. So very happy with that. He can also play punt return and kick returner. He's a specialist in college. Kind of has that Devin Hester type vibe to him. So overall, a very good ball player that the Bears are excited about. And he has crazy moves. He can juke anyone out of their shoes. Go look at him in the Senior Bowl. Guy was a beast. The only con I could really say about him, and he has good hands, but the overall is that he's 25. And I know people are like, why are we drafting a 25-year-old? Yeah, I consider this guy lost 2 years because of COVID and being redshirted. He'd be 23. So a lot of, if you look at also the board, a lot of these guys are older this year because of COVID ball. That's going to reset itself. Hopefully, just want to put that out there. So Tony, we got 9 minutes.
Yep.
We got 7 more picks to go through for the fans. Let's just kind of hit them with it and just go.
Yes,
so
sir.
3, 2, 1, let's go. 4th pick overall.
Round 5, 168th pick in the draft. Braxton Jones, offensive lineman out of Southern Utah, 6'5", 310, 35.4-inch arms. He played both tackle positions in college, primarily left tackle. Great run blocker, leader in the run zone scheme in college. So he wouldn't be a bad guy leading the charge on the right side of that line. He has, everyone's saying he's that prototypical NFL size for an NFL tackle. That's good. That's what you want. Cons, he just needs time to develop. All this stuff can work out. He just has to get there. He's got to work at it. Basically, he's just a depth piece right now. So who knows, of course, if it'll actually work out. Not everyone does. People in the know love the pick, though, and actually think he will take over that starting role down the line. And as you'll see going forward, the offensive linemen that the Bears took all kind of match that run zone scheme. Nick.
And also, just going off of that, he was one of the best run block linemen in his division last year. And so kind of something that Ryan Poles going after, giving David Montgomery hope. Round 5, 174 pick, Dominique Robinson, edge out of Miami of Ohio. Shout out Dylan Roskin. I know that's where you guys are from. 6'4", 235. Absolute freak of an athlete. He has a 41-inch vertical. And I know like you're like, it's the NFL, whatever. That man can block passes. That man can block field goals. He was in the 98th percentile in edges this year in the NFL draft. He also is crazy fast off the ball, so he can get into the backfield quickly and get after the quarterback and running back. And he was valued as a late 3rd by some of the analysts, got him in the 5th. Can't deny that. And also, he's kind of a special player. He went in college as a receiver and also played high school quarterback. Just want to put that out there. But his con is that he's not as strong against the run as you may think for being an athletic freak like he is. He gets juked out a lot because he's kind of like, he has that mentality, like, I'm running in this direction. This is the only direction I'm running in. He needs to find a way in order to get past that. But a huge value for the pick. He could be I think he's going to be a very strong special teams person. They'll definitely have him in the middle, especially on field goals. And he's behind Travis Gibson and Robert Quinn, so he's going to learn a lot quickly. So I like the pick overall. Tony, round 6, 186 pick, lineman. Who do we take?
Zachary Thomas, offensive lineman, like you said, out of San Diego State, 6'4", 308 pounds, 33.9-inch arms, so basically 34 inches. Biggest pros is that he has a better name than the guy that the Packers took, whose name is Zach Tom. Stupid name. Zachary Thomas, full strong name. Extremely athletic in the zone run scheme in college. Also a good con, I guess, is play. So he's also he's quick. He explodes out of his stance. The biggest con was that he's a little undersized, but scouts think he can make up for it with his athleticism. Weight-wise, yes. Yeah, he's a little small in that aspect, but because he is so athletic, they think it could balance out. And he does need to work on his pass protection. Overall, going to be a depth guy. He played both tackle spots and right guard in college, but he projects as a right guard in the NFL. So pick number 7 was round 6, 203rd overall pick. Trestan Ebner, position, running back. He went to Baylor. He's 5'11", 206, ran a 4.43 40, which, like you were saying, under that 440 mark, that close enough, you know. He is fast. He's that Tariq Cohen replacement, most likely. That's what it seems to be. Great pass catcher. Overall, fantastic athlete. Explosive kick returner. We got 2 great kick returners in this draft. We might do the double Johnny Knox, Devin Hester style. So no no glaring cons necessarily. Is a 6th round pick. I mean, obviously, it's just going to be weaker than a 1st or 2nd round pick. That is what it is. But he's really thought of as that potential explosive weapon. But he's not going to be anything more than that pass catching back or a special teamer, which is fine. That's okay. It's going to be a fun pick. He will definitely provide a spark of offense or on special teams. And I think overall, we're going to love him in a couple of years.
And I don't want people freaking out. Like, why did we take him? Like, there was rumors that he might get rid of David Montgomery. That's not the case. Just putting that out there.
This is not the guy to replace David Montgomery.
This is not the guy to but also, like, we did need a 3rd running back. We only had 2 running backs on the roster. Like, we lost Damian Williams, or they let him go. So everyone relax. Like, he's just a depth guy.
It's just a little toy for Luke Getsy to play with, which is good. I think that he can get very creative with it.
I agree. So the 8th pick from the Chicago Bears in this draft was round 6, pick 207. Doug Kramer, no relation to Eric Kramer, to my knowledge. Haven't texted Eric Kramer. If you want to go watch our Eric Kramer episode, please go. Ex-Bears quarterback. Great guy. We love him. He's coming back on in the near future. Anyway, Doug Kramer from Illinois, center, 6'2", 304, small center. Just putting the con out there. That's pretty much the only con about him. But he's a great zone blocker from the Big Ten. Something Getsy is like, he likes centers like this, and also having Lucas Patrick as a great mentor in front of him is huge. He is a slim, athletic lineman. I mean, 304 pounds is nothing to joke around with, but he is 6'2". So he isn't built like an absolute truck, but he's very strong, very athletic, has good speed. And he's like, it's not about the size of the dog. It's about the size of the fight in the dog. So I really like him because he also grew up a Bears fan. Love when local kids do that. I think we can get it. He has a big chip on his shoulder, and Lucas Patrick's only on a 2-year contract. If this guy can become the next Lucas Patrick, we can have him around for a long time. So I like to pick up a lot from Illinois. Always taken out of the Big Ten, especially a lineman, is always a plus. Tony, pick 9, round 7, 266.
Jatyree Carter. Again, I think I nailed that name. Offensive lineman out of Southern University, 6'3", 311. He was the player of the year coming out of high school in Louisiana, which, pretty good football state there. He played left tackle in college, but he has that perfect frame to move to guard, which is what he projects to do. Great motor, strong at the point of attack, aggressive. Cons, again, late round pick, developmental pick for sure. It's kind of a lot of technical stuff. One of the examples being his pad level kind of gets away from him. So his technical aspects need to be worked on, but that raw talent is there. So overall, he's going to be a backup depth guy. Basically, he's a great batch of clay that we drafted, and now it's up to the Bears and obviously his work ethic and him working to mold him properly.
I agree. I like the pick. I think it's an underrated pick, kind of like a Bilal Nichols feel kind of pick, like late. Don't know what to get out of him. Smaller school, could make a big name. Round 7, 254. So the second to last pick for the Bears in this draft. Elijah Hicks, safety out of Cal, 5'11", 201. He can play all defensive back positions, though, and that's what he did at Cal. He's versatile, and he's willing to go in different positions when there is a need. So that's obviously a big plus for him. He's also a total ball hawk, and he isn't afraid to, pass deflections. He's even said that. He goes, if I see the ball in the air, I'm going to try to swat it. I'm not going to let the guy catch it and play it safe. I'm going to have to do what I have to do in order to make a play. Love that energy because he's a big energy guy in the locker room and in the huddle. We love that. Guess you could say his size is what hurts him, but he has a good shot making this roster because the DB room still is thin and he could be a great special teams player. Tony, last pick of the draft for the Chicago Bears.
Yes, pick of the draft, round 7, 255th overall. Trenton Gill, punter out of NC State. His size doesn't matter. Pros is he started as a walk-on, became a 3-year starter, so he has that good work ethic already. And it's an easy play on words. You could say, oh, he gilled that ball, So he could actually outlast every player in this draft, kind of like a Pat O'Donnell, where he just plays forever. We'll see. Cons are, really doesn't have that great of a leg, so I don't know why we drafted him, to be honest. Just kind of we need a punter kind of guy. He's going to compete with Ryan Winslow for the starting job, who is the other punter on the roster, but it's not guaranteed. So he may not make the team. That's our overall.
Hey, you could say he's a punter and he got drafted. Not many can say that.
Yeah, no, good for him,
undrafted.
For sure.
So what a draft. Tony, any more comments before we close out?
I think we're about to get kicked off Zoom here with the timer showing. So
yeah, we've never had this happen before. Very strange. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. Please tune into our Instagram for more information on drafted players. But with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. Timer's going. My name is Dick Brody, joined alongside Tony Speedo. We'll see you guys next time.